Another bright and early morning, honey, and welcome to Newcastle, New South Wales. I'm not even sure that we're actually in port at the moment. I think we're still coming in, but as my excursion leaves in barely an hour, I need to really get started on the day. It's 7:15, and you can see this quaint little village behind me, which I'm not sure where we're going. In fact, I'm certain that my excursion is not going through here. I'm going through a whole bunch of sand dunes, and that will be a separate thing to film. But for now, I figure I might as well show you the cute little place that we're going through. You can get a taste of that for now, and then we'll see a different side to Newcastle once I'm out on shore. Talk to you later. I've got to grab some breakfast and finish getting started for the day. Just before I head down to breakfast, I need to show you the starboard side. You know, the quaint little island village on the one. And over here, well, this looks a little bit more city-like. It gets that much more so as you go by the docks. This is an industrial place, to be honest. So it's not exactly a tourist destination, or at least the port doesn't look very touristy anyway. Considering how much of its shipping is coal from here, I guess that shouldn't come as any great surprise. But let's see what the place has in store for us, eh? Amongst a whole row of full-size buses, this is a little leaky thing in comparison. I guess it's a smaller group. That's fine. I know this is absolutely necessary, but I remember the last time I had to fill out one of these things. Anyway. These are tiny little houses, but it's kind of cool having homes and then businesses pretty much right next to each other. Granted, it's not, this is the sort of thing you wouldn't get at home with all the zoning regulations and whatnot. It's nice to have a post office right next door, or a sushi restaurant, but they're all very small, relatively speaking. Still, it's a small city, certainly in comparison to like Sydney and whatnot, so I guess it shouldn't come as a surprise. It really looks like a suburb here. There are some more modern installations which are kind of interesting as well. Some of these really look like places I'd like to live. At this point, we're out of town and headed towards Stockton Bight, and it's really weird to try and figure this one out because it feels like there's so much and so thick a forest. Where do the sand dunes start? Doesn't that require a desert? I'm not going to do a picture of me doing this, but I guess we need to, since we're putting on helmets, we got to put on a hairnet. And I have little of it as it is. But I figured I'd show you beforehand. And afterwards. Honestly, I think I'm reporting for work at Macca's or something. All right. I don't know if this is being picked up, but this looks much better than hairnet alone. So, I guess this thing doesn't snap down. I got no problem with that. I don't know if we're ready, but at least I'm readier. Do feel kind of silly like this. Figured out how to put down a visor. It's underneath. Now I don't know if you hear me at all.
You want one, hon?
Probably going to talk to you. That's been all right, honey, this is my mount for the next hour and a half or so. Gonna be quite the experience, I should think. I'm just hoping I haven't forgotten how to drive after a month. If ever I mean it when I say wish me luck, I'll need it. This is it. Oh wow, it bounces around a little bit. And I haven't even started it up yet.
Good for another maybe 6 weeks, maybe.
All right, the handbrakes are on the thing. Up here and here, like with a bicycle.
Yeah, we'll explain all about that in a minute.
have to watch myself that I don't have a leg too close to the motor, because that's going to get hot in a hurry, they tell me. So
We'll do a quick safety induction, then we'll head off. First, welcome to Sand Dune Adventures. My name is Ross, I'll be one of the guides today. So today is a guided tour. So how that works, you have a guide out in front, you follow behind in one line. Now while we're doing that, there's no riding side by side or overtaking, because we're going to ride on top of hills very close to some drops, so it's important for you to stay in the tracks at all times. Now while you're following behind, keep a safe distance between each bike, at least 10 metres, or 10 yards for you guys, isn't it? Yeah. 10 yards. You keep a 10-yard gap, we won't have any accidents, guys. And the most important thing is you will not be injured. And secondly, no damage to the gear, okay? But if you keep the nice big gap, look, that'll be the least of our worries, all right? Okay, on your handlebars, you've got two levers there. They are your brakes. When you use those, use both together. You do have another one by your right foot. You can use that one, but if you've got shorts on or light clothing, I wouldn't use that. The motor down there is going to get very hot, so there's a chance you could burn your leg. So you're probably better off just to concentrate on the ones on the handlebars. Now on the right hand side of your handlebars, you see that little black lever there on the right hand side. This one, that's the one. That's your accelerator. When you use that, it's nice, slow, even pressure all the time. You have to push it, otherwise you won't move. The bikes are automatic, so basically all you have to do today is just to steer it, accelerate, brake, stay in a line, okay? Where you've got your feet, keep your feet in the foot bays at all times while your bike's moving. Do not put them outside of the bike while your bike's moving, guys, like you can hurt yourself. So wait till you stop. Now be careful how you turn in the sand. Don't turn too sharp at speed. You do that, guys, your front tyres are going to dig into that sand. If you're going quick enough, well, you can have an accident. So just take it easy until you get used to it, all right? With hills, anyone scared of heights? Got one down the back, maybe? Look, we will start out on a small hill first to see how you go, and we'll work our way up to the bigger ones. We just don't go straight to the big ones. Now you have to get the small ones right. If you can't do the small ones, guys, we're not going to let you do any more, because it can be unsafe, okay? But it's very easy to do. Now, you'll have a guide on top of the hill, follow their instructions, and you'll be okay. They're going to tell you to stay in the tracks. Once you start down that hill, no brakes, and a little bit of acceleration keeps your bike nice and straight. We will get plenty of photos out there, so no phones out while we're riding along. We want two hands on those handlebars at all times. No, you don't. You can use it, but it doesn't work.
Oh, darn.
No, we've all got them locked in for.
So it looks like I'm going to have to pack this thing away. I am not going to be able to film while I'm doing this. Heck, I'm not even sure I can hold this. So. Oh, wow, hon. I don't know how to tell you about this because, again, words kind of fail me. I mean, there's a lot to say, but, again, it's not enough to describe the experience. We're driving basically through a sand road with trees all around us. We get to the crest of this one ridge, and it's nothing but Sahara, this trackless series of dunes. And we've been at this for, I want to say, what, half an hour or so? And all sorts of things have been going through my head the whole time, and I can't tell you because I can't get my phone out to do so. The thing is, You see this on video games all the time. Gray makes it easy with the four-wheeler, but and actually, it's not all that hard. I think I got used to thumbing the accelerator with the proper amount of subtlety right away. The problem is both trying to keep up with the pack that you're behind, you know, keeping this single file line, and yet at the same time keep a respectful distance between you and the guy in front of you. There's also this counterintuitive nature of going over these huge hills. It's almost like you have to stop at the top, but then once you're going over, you just stay on the accelerator the whole time. Don't let up, otherwise you're gonna stall out. And that's all very counterintuitive when you're driving, because that's not how you do it with a car. Not like a car could manage on this kind of sand. And again, then there's the worry of, am I gonna catch up with this guy? I don't wanna hit him, don't wanna go, alongside of him. You just wanna stay in the line. And there's also the whole, I'm leaning one direction or another in the opposite way that the quad is leaning. It's not that I don't trust the quad exactly, but I don't trust myself to stay properly balanced. Anyway, you can probably see the ocean behind me at this point. We've gone all the way through Stockton Bight, and we are at the shore, more or less. It's a long ride. Definitely not a straight line, so it's probably, if we went as the crow flew, we'd have been here in a third the time, I'm sure. But this is, that was an experience. And yeah, I took the easy way. I didn't know what kind of heights we'd be going up and drops we'd be going down. And honestly, I feel good for having done so. Sometimes you just have to know your limitations, and I think I would have had a hard time maintaining my poise while trying to stay in a single file line if we were going up the really steep hills and crests. As it is, even going across someone else's tracks, it is like dealing with speed bumps. These dunes are just really big ones. And what do you do when you hit a speed bump? You slow down. Well, I can't quite bring myself to get too aggressive with them. Still, this is quite the sight, quite the trip. I'm glad I went, even if I'm not quite up to the stunt tasks. There was one guy I've met on the cruise a couple of times who was like, don't worry about it, just do this. Offered me some pieces of advice, and then he finished it off with saying, I've done this before. I'm like, well, that's the point, I haven't. And so I'm gonna take the gentle way, and even then, I'm leaning, I'm being cautious, I'm trying to be careful. So the crazy thing is that for all the tracks that we've made, for the most part, it still seems like trackless desert, aside from the fact that, we're almost at the ocean as well. You can just barely see the Bight from here. It always feels like it's over the next ridge, and then you get over that ridge and there's another ridge and another and another. It just keeps going. It's just kind of incredible like that. But at this point, it feels like I've got to try and get up to the top of the ridge so that I can look over at the ocean for your sake. You can see for yourself how it just keeps going on. And I feel like I'm getting to the top here, and the ocean is there. You can see it, and yet at the same time, there's a sort of, oh, there's another hill and another hill. And a bluff over there, if I'm not mistaken. It just keeps going on. I can see that car, so you get a rough idea how much further it is. I think someone's in there, and I wouldn't be surprised they were surfing, looking at those breakers. But I don't think I'm gonna go that far, at least not now. If we go towards the Bight one more time and get a chance to stop there, maybe, but for now, I think this is the place. One of our guides, an Aboriginal by the name of Rachel, wouldn't you know it, talks about how there are some burial grounds here too, among other things, as well as feast sites based on the oyster shells used as utensils and the like. So I don't know that there's anything inappropriate about this. Since this is a burial site, I think it's appropriate that I'll put a few grains here, and just a little bit more sand, as it were. It won't do any harm. There you are. Welcome to the dunes. Take a look around you when the trumpet blows, and maybe when we meet again, tell me what you think of the place. Until then, keep an eye on me, honey, and wish me luck. I'm gonna need it. I mean, I've still got to drive back. You know, hon, part of me really regrets not being able to film this trip, especially considering some of the sights and how you break out from the trees into the dunes and vice versa. But considering how often I have to stop and restart what I say, there are no second takes on here. And of course, it's almost impossible to hold this camera, even now, let alone while I'm trying to drive. I mean, we've seen helmet cams before. We've seen people wipe out before. I mean, you remember watching World's Dumbest Drivers and all that. So the camera isn't really the thing. It does not convey all the sensations. It doesn't allow you to feel anything of what's going on. You don't get the angry roar of the motor as you kick it up. You don't get the heat on your lower legs as the motor warms up and gets almost too hot. I had to ride pretty bow-legged in order to do this. There's no expressing that through a camera's lens. And so the fact that I didn't get to shoot it, well, there's not a whole lot I could do about that, because most of what's going on here just can't be conveyed that way. This really shouldn't be as intimidating as it is. I mean, I've driven 90 miles an hour on an interstate. This thing only topped out at about 35, but it's the openness of it, where you feel like you could fall out at any time, where everything is just so much more dynamic around you. Everything about it is a lot more intense than just if you're encased in several tons of Detroit or Japanese steel. You feel safe in a car in a way that a quad doesn't let you. I will say that I feel like I should be going back out there and experiencing it a little bit more, but there's really no easy way to get into the city from the port, unless I've arranged transport already, which, that's what this was. Don't have that luxury at the moment, and honestly, I'm a little tired, so maybe I need to recharge a little bit again and also try and upload all of what I've already done, because there's a lot to deal with.